Snezhnaya's trailer recently came out, and it revealed so much about our next region. We finally got to see the Tsaritsa and have an idea about the conflict in Snezhnaya. I normally don't make discussion videos, but the trailer has me so excited that I wanted to analyze it and throw my theories out there. I'm not deep into the lore, but I have some pretty good ideas about what is going to happen in Snezhnaya. In fact, I've been holding off on watching other videos, so I have my own pure ideas. I'm pretty sure you'll find them interesting. Let's get this started. This is Vodyanitsa, a performer that works at an opera house. You can obviously see that she is getting ready to perform. We also know this because Linnea has a voice line about her. She has another connection to Linnea too because they are both fae. Vodyanitsa has a design that is similar to the design that Linnea has on her legs. She also has fish-like ears that seem to be her actual ears, seeing as her earrings are connected to them. Her entire design is full of fish motifs.
I've heard that the rules that govern this world are all essentially curses. So to live by the rules means to suffer under the sum of all curses.
I find Vodyanitsa saying this to be very interesting, not because of what is said, but who is saying it. We obviously don't know much about her, but she seems to be a young and innocent girl, so it's interesting for her to say something so profound. She started this statement with "I've heard," so I wonder who put this thought in her mind. Her statement makes sense though, as the heavenly principles have imposed rules on the world which can either be seen as blessings or curses.
Are you talking about the snowstorms? Or Project Snezhnaya? Or the Tsaritsa?
This is Alosha, who we first got a glimpse of in the Snezhnaya preview teaser. We get more of him, so I'll talk about him later, but for now I want to talk about what he says. In reply to Vodyanitsa, he asks if she is talking about the snowstorms, Project Snezhnaya, or the Tsaritsa. As I previously said, she is probably talking about the heavenly principles, which is why I found it so interesting. However, him bringing up the snowstorms, Project Snezhnaya, and the Tsaritsa shows what the Snezhnayans are troubled by. I don't want to overanalyze, but Alosha is bringing up what is on the mind of most Snezhnayans, whereas Vodyanitsa is bringing up something more profound. Potentially to show the motives of the factions in Snezhnaya?
Let's go. Before Lilik makes a move.
So we have no idea who Lilik is, but I have an idea I'll talk about in a moment. This is Odette, another new character. I believe she is Lilik. There are two reasons for this, both of which are from the previous scene. Firstly, Vodyanitsa says that she and Alosha should make a move before Lilik does. Odette pulling out this dagger indicates she is looking to quote-unquote make a move, but also that she is potentially impatient, which the other two would know, assuming they are allies. My other reason is that when Vodyanitsa mentions Lilik, there is a ballerina showing, and the next scene shows Odette, who has a ballerina design. So yeah, I believe Odette is Lilik. I have more to say about her, but that can wait for when she appears again.
If it's true that rules are curses, well then, there's only two options.
I previously mentioned factions, and this is the perfect time to talk about them. As always, there are going to be good guys and bad guys. Snezhnaya is suffering and tensions in the nation are rising due to Project Snezhnaya thinning resources. I believe the good guys, or at least the side the Traveler will align themselves with, will be a rebelling faction that primarily wants to end Project Snezhnaya, but also wants to remove the Tsaritsa. I mean, Project Snezhnaya is only able to happen because of her, in addition to her current rule not being so pleasant. The reason I believe these are the goals of the rebelling faction is because of what Alosha said in the beginning. He mentioned the snowstorms, Project Snezhnaya, and the Tsaritsa. The snowstorms might be hard to quell, but Project Snezhnaya and the Tsaritsa, well, those things can be changed. I haven't outright said it, but you can probably tell that I believe Alosha, Vodyanitsa, and Odette are part of this rebelling faction. What Alosha brought up are the troubles of the average Snezhnayan, thus naturally being the things the rebellion wants to fix. That's enough with our good guys for now. Let's talk about the bad guys, or at least the antagonistic force. Relative to the rebelling faction, this is the faction in power. It comprises the Tsaritsa and her allies like the Fatui and Drushna. The goals of this faction are basically whatever the Tsaritsa wants, which we'll later see in this trailer, is to defy the heavenly principles. In order to do so, Project Snezhnaya needs to continue, which is in direct opposition to the rebelling force. When we arrive in Snezhnaya, conflict between these two factions will probably be at a tipping point. The man we're staring at is Valerie, who is part of the Tsaritsa's faction. I'm probably saying his name wrong, it could be Valry, Valrai, but I'm just gonna call him Valerie for now. This is our first time seeing him, but he was mentioned in the Trials of the Brave Warrior event that recently happened. We only know that he is part of the Fatui. Other than that, we see he stops Alosha from shooting a guy and fighting ensues.
Either we overthrow the rules, or... Were you going to say follow them? Get used to them? It's neither.
There's probably something deeper to this than I know, but Alosha is represented with wolves and Valerie is represented with a bear. It could just be that they have a connection or motif with those animals, but there could be something deeper. Did you catch that? Vodyanitsa has a hydrovision, specifically one that isn't a stellar linchpin, meaning she probably won't enable any stellar reactions. With all the fish motifs, it's no surprise that she is hydro though. Alosha may have not been able to take this guy out, but Odette got to him. This furthers my theory that they are part of a rebelling faction, or at the very least, working together. Vodyanitsa acts as the distraction, while the other two get the job done. Also, we can see Odette has a cryostellar linchpin identical to Sandrone's. This means she should be able to enable some stellar reaction, whether it's stellar conduct like Sandrone remains unknown. Also, we see the ground beneath Odette become ice and break, which might be symbolism for the crumbling of the current order, which is the Saritsa's faction. Presumably this man is part of her faction, so him being taken out would be part of dismantling the current order.
We find a way to transcend the rules.
Recapping what Vodyanitsa said, she basically said the current rules can either be overthrown or transcended. Those are the only two options, as she rejects the idea of being complacent with the rules. I believe both of the factions have chosen one of these options, and this is Hoyo's way of showing their ideologies. The rebelling faction wants to overthrow the rules of Snezhnaya, whereas the Saritsa's faction wants to transcend the rules the heavenly principles placed upon the world. I wrote 2 more pages about this part, but I'm gonna stop there.
Regarding the motion to extend Project Stuja, if there are no further objections.
I have an objection!
This scene is peak dramatic irony. The man that just objected to Project Stuja is the same man Alosha almost killed. In fact, he would have been successful if the Fatui didn't stop him. Yes, the man that just got in the Fatui's way is the same man the Fatui protected. Obviously, this is bad for the Fatui, but it's also ironic for the rebelling faction too, because if Alosha was successful in killing him, he wouldn't be here to object to Project Stuja. But that's where I think the irony stops. It could be more ironic if this man decided to naturally object to Project Stuja, but we saw Odette with a knife to him. This likely means he was forced into doing this. We see his hand shake as he struggles to muster up the courage to object, but there is no indication of his motive. The shaking could be because he was forced to, or if he naturally did it because of the repercussions for objecting. Regardless, the layers of irony make this potentially my favorite scene in the trailer.
Me too!
I object!
Oh my.
After the first man objected, we see others do the same. The question I have that has no answer is if they did this naturally, or if they were forced to by the rebelling faction. Keep in mind, Project Stuja does not seem to be popular with the Snezhnayans due to the lack of resources, so it makes sense why they would naturally object. I think what really happened is the first man objected due to being blackmailed, but his objection gave courage to the rest who then naturally objected. I don't have much to say about the Harbingers individually, in fact I only left Pantalone in for his fans. As a group though, they are obviously surprised by the objection to Project Stuja. We know from the Ecology trailer that they are aware of how unpopular it is. Their surprise likely comes from someone actually objecting to Project Stuja. I believe this is because bad things might happen to those who object, so normally no one does. I mean, everyone that objected stuttered when they did, probably because they were nervous to. This is Vesna, who I am 100% pulling for. Her design is good, but that's not what got me. The way her voice actor says tickles my brain the right way. Anyways, Vesna having pointy ears and functioning wings means she is a fae. She is likely the leader of the Drushna, who we've seen before in the Ecology trailer. They seem to be Snezhnaya's not-so-secret police, who obviously fall under the Saritsa's faction. In the Ecology trailer, we see them forcefully arresting someone and the people around are scared of them. This group is an oppressive force that we will no doubt run into. It will probably be how we meet Vesna. From what she said, she is probably the Snezhnayan Kujo Sara. Maybe not to Sara's level of idolization, but she definitely sucks up to the Tsaritsa. How sad for Vesna enjoyers like myself. You can clearly see she has an animo-stellar linchpin. We know it's a stellar linchpin because it's a star shape like Sandrone's. This probably means something like stellar swirl exists.
Forgive the intrusion. Mind if I join this private discussion?
This is Flynn's and Nefer's daughter who works as a Catherine. Okay, her actual name is Danica, maybe Danica, and it's our first time seeing her. I believe she is part of the rebelling faction. Of course, every character doesn't have to be part of a faction, I just think she is. She is dressed as a maid and confronting people, indicating she is undercover. The Tsaritsa's faction doesn't need to go undercover because it has the Fatui and Drusna. Thus, I believe she is part of the rebelling faction. Also, this train car is quite lavish, so the people she is confronting are probably wealthy, and wealthy people often align with the current order. Although, the people's clothing doesn't seem to be too fancy, so that takes away from this theory. We can see the train being closed off too, which might be an ability of hers. Okay, is this her ability, or something else?
Compared to the eons gone by, this is a peaceful age.
Holy Aura Farm. This is Noi, another character we are seeing for the first time. He is my favorite character in this trailer, and I am so excited to see more of him. My first thought when I saw him was vampire, but that's probably not the case. He is most likely just a fae, which his pointy ears indicate. He is old enough to remember less peaceful times. My lack of Genshin lore knowledge shows here, as I have no clue when this could be. My assumption is that he is at least 500 years old, as that is when the Cataclysm happened, which is the most recent non-peaceful event I can remember. He's probably way older, seeing as he talks about eons going by. An eon isn't a set amount of time, but normally it's pretty long. I love his design, but I have no clue where he could be from based on his clothing. The most interesting thing about him is the symbol on his neck. We've seen this symbol before because it's Asmodee's portals. There is one big star with two little stars on its side. I have no clue what this could mean, but he is probably connected to Asmodee. As for the faction he is aligned with, I don't know. The Fae used to rule Snezhnaya, and that changed when the Tsaritsa came to power. Many Fae left because of the changes she made, and Noi could be one of them. This would indicate him being against the Tsaritsa at the very least. What I think is most likely is that he isn't part of any faction. The only connection he has is with Asmodee, who doesn't seem to be working in the Heavenly Principle's best interest, which might actually lean him towards assisting the Tsaritsa. I wouldn't be surprised if he has no inclination towards either faction. He's also shown in a snowy area, which for all we know is all the Snezhnaya, with nothing around him, so it's hard to tell anything about him. Maybe he just woke up from a long slumber or something.
Wait.
This is Mitya, another character we are seeing for the first time. Once again, we can only speculate, so let's go based on vibes. He gives off young genius vibes, and his design initially gave me astrological vibes. I thought the symbol on his chest depicted Tevet and the three moons, but after a little thinking, that's just a common diagram of an atom. So he's probably more scientific than astrological, granted astrology is a science in Genshin. You can also see that his cape/cope is shaped like a hand and holding his book up. It'll be interesting to find out if it's alive or just his power. I'm more inclined to believe it's alive. We don't know what his vision is, but if you zoom in really hard on his back, you can see what might be a geovision. It could also be another one of these decorations he has at the end of his cape. As for a faction, I don't believe he belongs to any.
The Kresnik's torch?
A Kresnik's torch is this device right here, and it generates heat. Cities in Snezhnaya are built around them to stay warm. Mitya probably made a worrying realization about this one, which seems to come true as it freezes. Why would that happen? Maybe a lack of resources due to Project Stuja? That's just my guess, but it wouldn't take a revelation like this to know that the torch is running out of fuel, so probably not. This is the torch to Snezhnograd, which is the capital of Snezhnaya. After the torch freezes, we see Snezhnograd freeze. This is obviously not good for the Snezhnayans, but I have a feeling it's part of someone's plan that I'll get back to later.
And then, the Heavenly Principle spoiled our love.
So we just heard the Tsaritsa say the Heavenly Principal spoiled her love, then Renova cut the supposed husband/father out of her family picture. Yeah, I believe it. There has been a popular theory for a very long time that the third descender is the Tsaritsa's lover, and this kinda makes it make sense. The Heavenly Principals literally killed the third descender and turned them into the Gnosis. I'd consider that spoiling their love. Renova cutting him out of the picture is a metaphor for what the Heavenly Principals did.
Mother?
This is the Tsaritsa's son, which is a massive revelation. The Tsaritsa didn't just have a lover, but a child too. His eyes are especially interesting. They look like the eyes of a Conrian. When Renova placed the Curse of Immortality on Conrians 500 years ago, he could have been affected by it. This would make sense because after the Cataclysm, the Tsaritsa changed and became who she is today. One thing doesn't make sense about this. If this boy is the child of the Tsaritsa and the third descender, there can only be one way he got those eyes. The Tsaritsa is obviously a fae, so it couldn't have been her, leaving the third descender as the default option. I don't believe the third descender has any relation with Khaenri'ah. Hyperborea is the ancient civilization they have the most ties to. Perhaps there is a connection between Khaenri'ah and Hyperborea other than being condemned and destroyed by the Heavenly Principles? For this boy to have those eyes, something isn't adding up. My guess is that the third descender is native to Tevat, which is unlikely, or that they took the form of someone that shares lineage with Khaenri'ans. I could be wrong, or there could be other options. I can't figure it out. Also, there is something special about this flower. I don't know what, but there is too much focus on it. Perhaps it's from Hyperborea, just like the Intevet is from Khaenri'ah.
I almost doubt whether it was ever true at all.
What just happened is a lot to take in. The easiest thing to dissect is the Tsaritsa saying she almost doubts if it was ever true. I see there being two reasons for this. Firstly, it was such a traumatic event for her that it is essentially unbelievable. Secondly, that it has been so long since she has been with her family that it doesn't feel real. Both of which show how badly she has been affected by this. Next, she freezes her son, which I initially thought she did by accident. However, you can see her hesitating to touch him, indicating she knew what she was doing. This is a traumatic and horrible thing for her to do, but it was better than letting him succumb to the Curse of Immortality. She lost her lover and was forced to freeze her child. This is the moment the god of love closed her heart off to the world. She looks at her hands almost as if she is in disbelief of what she did. At the same time, her feet turn the ground beneath her to ice.
One should not throw fragile driftwood to a drowning person, nor give the illusion of warmth to those freezing to death. Death is not the enemy of love. The real enemy is the blessings given by deluded gods.
This trailer just gets crazier and crazier. We learn more about the Tsaritsa's ideology when she says one shouldn't throw fragile driftwood to a drowning person or give the illusion of warmth to those freezing in death. This could just be her saying her ideology, but I have a crazy theory about the second part. If you remember, I hinted that I think the Kreshnik's torch freezing was part of someone's plan, and that someone is the Tsaritsa. When she said you shouldn't give the illusion of warmth to someone freezing to death, she meant it metaphorically and literally. She probably believes that everyone is doomed under the rule of the Heavenly Principles, so sacrifices made like the torch are worth it. I have no doubt the Tsaritsa has a personal motive, but I also think that she believes what she is doing is best for the world. As for her plan, she wants to challenge the divine, and look who showed up. Next, she says that death isn't the enemy of love, but rather the blessings given by deluded gods are. I previously established how blessings can be seen as curses and curses can be seen as blessings. When she says this, Renova is on screen and turns around. The first meaning behind her statement references the Curse of Immortality and whatever other blessings are given, like the Gnosis. The second meaning, or the second enemy, is the rules of the world. At the beginning, Vodyanica mentioned that the rules of the world are curses, which also makes them blessings. The Tsaritsa is designating these rules and divine blessings as enemies. There's also some obvious irony to her saying death isn't the enemy of love, as she is squaring up with the ruler of death. However, that's only on the surface, and if she really means what she says, she doesn't see Renova as an enemy because she is the ruler of death, or even because she placed the Curse of Immortality, but rather because Renova enforces the Heavenly Principle's will. I somehow haven't mentioned the most interesting part of this scene yet. The Tsaritsa's weapon is imbued with the power of Nibirius, the ruler of life, and Istaroth, the ruler of time. Technically, the Saritsa could have gotten their powers a different way, but I think that would have been a big deal, so I believe they willingly gave them to her. Renova's coworkers are ganging up on her, and I feel bad for her. She did something the Heavenly Principles didn't like before, and she got lobotomized for it. Meanwhile, the other shades decide that now is the time to defect, and I mean it when I say defect. We know Renova is acting in the interests of the Heavenly Principles, so Nibirius and Istaroth going against her means they are going against the Heavenly Principles too. This was already hinted at in the God's Limits teaser. Asmodee works for someone else now, and Istaroth and Nibirius seem uninterested in enforcing the rules. This is more evidence towards them willingly lending their powers to the Saritsa. I believe an event like Renova appearing in Snezhnaya will be a big enough thing that the rebelling faction and Saritsa's faction will put aside their differences for a moment to deal with the bigger problem at hand. Obviously, the Saritsa knew something like Renova's appearance would happen though. We, the Traveler, will likely fight alongside the Saritsa against Renova. A potential weekly boss fight against the Ruler of Death seems possible. Also, it looks like the Saritsa's weapon is a polearm here. She'll probably be a 5-star cryo polearm that can enable all the stellar reactions. The positions of these chess pieces probably reference a real-world game that happened, which could indicate how the story is going to go, but unfortunately I have no clue what it is. I believe the status of each Gnosis tells a story of what is going on. The Electro and Dendro are still standing because their divine throws are intact, but off the board because they are no longer in play. It also makes sense for the Hydro Gnosis to be lying down because Focalors destroyed the Hydro Divine Throne. What doesn't make sense is the Animo Gnosis laying down. It could just mean that whether the Gnosis is standing up or lying down means nothing, but I feel like there is an intention to it. This is crazy to say, but what if the Animo Divine Throne has also been destroyed? Stay with me for a moment. That would at least explain why the Hydro and Animo Gnosis are the only ones lying down. Some things still won't make sense though. At the end of the Mondstadt Archon quest, Venti gives Dvalin some of his power, and Dvalin even calls it the power of the Animo Archon. Also, we see the Wanderer get his vision, which requires the Animo Divine Throne to be intact, or someone else like the Animo Dragon Sovereign to grant it. If the Animo Dragon Sovereign regained their power, Apep would have mentioned it in the 6.6 Archon quest, just like she mentioned that she sensed Neuvillette regaining his. The Animo Divine Throne being destroyed doesn't abide by logic. And that's true, unless you can manipulate time. I know it's an unsatisfactory answer, but Venti has that ability. We've barely seen him use it, and if there's a time to, it'd be when rebelling against the Heavenly Principles, something Venti is probably not opposed to. The entire Mondstadt Archon quest asks if a person can truly be free under the rules of a god. The Animo Archon may be absent from Mondstadt, but Mondstadt still has to abide by the rules of the Heavenly Principles. As the god of freedom, it wouldn't be surprising if he wanted to free the people from these rules too. Also, Venti said he was good friends with the Saritsa until the Cataclysm where she cut ties with him. He could be trying to assist her. The only thing I can't figure out is what benefit is gained from the destruction of the Animo Throne. Focalors destroyed the Hydro Throne to save the people of Fontaine from a prophecy and give Neuvillette his power back. I don't see how that would help the current situation in any way. I know it's a crazy theory, and I probably just said a whole bunch of nothing, but I had to get it out there in case. The two Gnosis we see still on the board are the Cryo and Geo ones. The Cryo one makes sense as the Saritsa is obviously still in play. The Geo is the interesting one. Unfortunately, I don't have a random spiral to go down just like I did for the Animo. All I can say is that Zhongli probably still has a part to play, and the contract to end all contracts hasn't been fulfilled yet. This is what the Saritsa currently looks like. Her full name is Anastasia Feodorovna Snezhnaya.
Good move. Still, I do hope you truly understand the nature of the game you're playing.
Once again, there is probably some significance to this chess move, but I don't know. What I do know is the Saritsa is face-to-face playing a chess game with Rheindotter. That is pretty crazy considering Rheindotter merged with Nibirius. The framing of the shot doesn't actually allow us to see Nibirius. Her being there but not opposing the Saritsa is more evidence that she is assisting her. Rheindotter tells the Saritsa good move, indicating that she believes the Saritsa is making the right decision if she wants her plan to succeed. She then says that she hopes the Saritsa knows the nature of the game she is playing. This is obviously because going against the Divine is a deadly game, not just for her, but a lot of others too. Also, Rheindotter is one of the 5 sinners and has merged with a shade that seems to be doing things the Heavenly Principles wouldn't approve of, so the Saritsa's plan better work or Rheindotter might have some trouble too. That's the end of the trailer, but there's still something to discuss. Actually, there's a lot of somethings to discuss, but I'm only going to talk about one. There is a character missing from this trailer. Piero doesn't make an appearance, nor does he say anything. We even have a scene with all the Harbingers, but the director is nowhere to be seen. The Tsaritsa challenges the Divine alone, and if there's a time for him to be somewhere, it'd be then. His absence is very suspicious. There is a theory that Piero and the Tsaritsa's goals are not fully aligned, and he might even be trying to use her grief to further his. This piece of evidence indicates that might be true. We don't definitively know what either of their goals are, only that they want to defy the Divine. From what we learned about the Tsaritsa in this trailer, she probably wants to do what she can to salvage her family, likely removing her son's curse and maybe even reviving the third Descender. Her motives probably run deeper than that, and she wants to change or remove the rules of the world so it cannot happen again. Piero, on the other hand, is full of mystery. In the God's Limits teaser, he watches Renova specifically during the Shade's meeting. Rhindaughter then says that she believes working for the Tsaritsa has helped him let go of his obsession. I don't even think she believes that. He's literally watching the Shade that cursed him. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is that he is looking for revenge. That makes it even more suspicious why he isn't with the Tsaritsa to challenge Renova. I believe his goals are not fully aligned with the Tsaritsa's, as he is primarily looking for revenge, and she is primarily looking to mend wounds and fix the world. That was a lot of words to say Piero is suspicious and not loyal to the Tsaritsa, but rather his own cause. I'm sure when we get more of him, it is going to make the story very interesting. We have learned so much from this Snezhnaya trailer. For years, a rebellion against the Divine has been hinted at, and we are starting to see it happen. I, for one, am very excited for Snezhnaya. Many story pieces have been building up, and we are about to see what becomes of them. Hopefully my analysis of the trailer was accurate, or at the very least, I didn't make myself look like an idiot. We'll have to wait for Snezhnaya to find out how accurate my analysis and theories are. Wow, that was a long one. I somehow made a 5-minute trailer into a 27-minute video. Crazy enough, I didn't bring up everything I wanted to and cut a bunch out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you like me, subscribe. And most importantly, I hope you have a good day or night. See ya!